Hey, 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 what's up, America? And all the other people who aren't Americans. Welcome to the Ace Michaels Show. I'm Ace Michaels in it again. Another day in it, man. And I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I want to thank everybody for supporting the show throughout the years and making us number one in your podcast region here in Las Vegas. Um, I want to start today's show off with a thought that just popped into my head. I just got off the phone with a guy that's a manager for some celebrities. He's got some celebrity clients. He's got some non-celebrity clients, but he's mostly, I guess, he's got celebrity clients. And I don't know why it is with like music and entertainment people, they always want to drop their resume in the middle of a regular conversation. Like we're just talking about, regular people stuff. Like, yo, man, what do you think about meeting over at the club to have some sushi later? And he's like, oh, speaking of sushi. I had sushi with Leonard Toll Free, Leonard from the band Bloom Bloom Bloom, and he was doing the gig with Jeffrey Monsford and Isaiah Monteplay. And we don't know these people. Like you're dropping these names. We never heard of any of these musicians. We never heard of none of these producers. If it's not the main star person, we don't know the engineer who engineered the record. Like we don't really care, to be quite honest, right? All we want to know is like, do you really know Johnny Depp? Can I get his autograph? Like that's where we're at as regular people. We don't care about the backstory and the thing that happened on the tour bus and somebody ate the last piece of pie before Ozzy could get to it. Like do we care? Do you care? You don't care, right? Dropping names is like to me the equivalent of, let me think of an analogy. Blowing smoke out your ass? Maybe that's the analogy I want to use. Dropping names in the middle of a conversation is the equivalent of blowing smoke out. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about the names that you're dropping, no matter how big those names are, no matter how big a celebrity connection it was. Only you care about that. That's what I think. If you have an opinion on it, I'd love to hear it. You can email us. We are at the Ace Michael Show at yahoo.com, baby. You can also be on the show. If you've got something on your chest, come be a guest. That's what I say. That's the best way to get it off your mind. Any other thoughts, opinions, suggestions, convictions, beliefs, please share them with the show. Today, we have a fabulous singer. I mean, this girl can sing. She ain't just singing, she's singing. Welcome to the show. First timer on the Ace Michael Show, Kaitlyn Taylor. How you doing? Welcome to the Ace Michael Show, darling.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm fabulous. How are you?
You are fabulous. Let's jump right. Yes, as we say in the journalism, let's jump right into it. You are fabulous. Why are you so fabulous?
Frankly, I think it's just because I left fear at the door.
Okay, speak.
I mean, to make it as simple as possible. Just, I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be alive, and I'm leaving the things that weigh me down behind me the best that I can.
Wow. So, were you ever fearful, or were you just born with no fear?
Oh no, I was born with fear.
Huh.
My poor parents, man. They couldn't do anything with me. I was afraid of my own shadow.
Well, okay. Well, I mean, I hate to ask, but it seems like I kind of have to. Well, why? Why were you so afraid? What happened? What made you so
Honestly,
fearful?
I really don't know. I was always that way. I was always like very what's the word therapists would use on me? uh,
I know,
where
right?
it's where you kind of like think of the worst possible scenario.
Hmm.
I forget the word now, but that's what I did as little as like 6, 7 years old. I wouldn't want to ride a roller coaster because what if it fell apart while I was on it? I didn't want to go into the wave pool at Wet and Wild because what if it malfunctioned and I drowned? Like it just, for some reason, I just went to that place all the time. I was very anxious as a kid.
Okay, now I'm going to jump in on that and I'm going to tell you something that you may already know this, but people listening might not know it. And I don't know who knows what, but I'm going to tell you I have a similar fear where it comes to roller coasters and adventure rides and things like that.
Hmm.
I always let people know that I am one not to risk my life. Like I'm
Right.
cool doing like what do they call it, thrill seeking. I will
Hmm.
seek thrill for real, but I will not do so knowing that I could die, right?
Right.
So from an early age, I was afraid of roller coasters. I still am. I won't ride a roller coaster. But what I found out through my therapy is that it's actually control
Yeah.
is what you're afraid of losing.
A
It's not fear.
control-based agenda. Yes, I know.
Yeah, you're quite a control freak. That's your thing.
Correct.
You wanna be in control of the situation.
Right.
Hmm.
Yep. Always.
Okay. All right. Well, that comes from a place too.
Oh, yes. Yes, it does.
Hmm.
Yeah, I just, I don't know. I kind of grew, I was the oldest daughter, so that automatically tells you that I had to grow up faster and I had to, kind of take care of the people around me in some sense. And that's just how I was. My parents divorced young. So I was always used to changing my environment and yeah, that was just who I was. I was afraid of everything. I was afraid of what people thought about me. I was afraid of failure. I was afraid of anything I couldn't control, like you said.
And did you have a thing that happened in your life that led you to music as your outlet, or are you one of those artists? Because I don't know that much about you. Are you an artist that does other stuff? Like are you a painter as well as a dancer as well as a script writer? Like what are all your things?
Well, when I was younger, it was mostly just music. I was definitely a choir nerd growing up.
Hmm.
I've also taken to writing and poetry. I won some awards back in the day, back in my teen years.
Hmm.
But as I've had kids and stuff, it's gotten harder to actually put pen to paper. I write music now. I write lyrics, but I also make jewelry. That was my first outlet when I approached out of COVID and out of uh, doom and gloom. I guess you'll say I had kind of a very negative period in my life, and it took over a good 4 or 5 years. And when I finally got out of that, I went to jewelry. I made jewelry for a living.
Okay. And the jewelry came from the ideal of self-expression, or did you jump on somebody else's? I guess what I'm trying to ask, like, did you come up with jewelry on your own, or did you jump on like Etsy and then you're like, oh, well, this is a business somebody's starting, and then you get that multi-level business thing from them where they send you all the product and you just sell it. Does that make sense what I'm asking?
Um, it was its original design. But yes, I did start by looking at others. I actually started by getting a Cricut machine. My stepmom bought for me, and so I was looking up like vinyl and T-shirts and things like that first.
Okay.
And I didn't really like it. I didn't like the process of it. I wasn't very good at it, and I honestly YouTubed everything because I couldn't go to work. I had two kids that were immunocompromised at home, and I didn't get unemployment because they technically couldn't fire me from my job. I had to quit,
This
which
was
is, oh,
this was during the plump demic.
yeah,
Yeah.
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 Technically, it was from I want to say 2017 all the way up. It was kind of like leading up to it.
Hmm.
Basically, to try not to make this like a super downer, I fostered kids
This is such a
because
downer. Go ahead.
no, well,
I'm so
the
depressed
fostering
right
part
now.
isn't a downer. The fostering part was a miracle, and I have 6 kids that I love forever that are mine. They just don't stay with me. They're with their bio parents and where they belong. But
Whoa.
yes, I did foster kids.
Six.
That's not the downer part.
Hold on. Before we go, I don't even mean to interrupt, but damn, before
Yeah.
we go much further, you have six
Yes,
foster
I
children, and then you have three of your own, right?
one of the 6 is my oldest, my adopted daughter Chelsea,
Oh my God.
and I have 2 of my own. Unless you count my
Oh,
husband, then I have 3.
oh my God. I do not want your life. Okay, go ahead. I'm
So,
sorry. Woo.
yeah,
Woo.
so I fostered kids. It wasn't all at once. We had at one point 3 kids under 4.
Mm,
That was rough.
mm.
Um, but yeah, so we fostered kids when we were told we couldn't have kids. So we adopted my oldest right after she finished chemo.
See
And the
how?
reason why that's relevant is because I had to utilize all of my time off, my FMLA, to deal with her treatments
Wow.
and her therapies after. So that includes like physical therapy, speech, and all that stuff.
Yes. Yes.
And so because that happened, I had my miracle baby because God is funny.
Yeah, I didn't think
Um,
about it.
so I was 3 months pregnant at court adopting my oldest.
Right,
And about 8 months later, literally a week after my oldest Make-A-Wish vacation,
right.
we found a brain tumor in my youngest daughter.
Oh my gosh.
And that was November of 2019. So it was right before COVID.
So
And
wow.
that FMLA hadn't re-upped. It was like 3 weeks shy of renewing for the year. So I didn't have any approved time off. So they gave me like some unpaid time, and that was great. But then we had to go to St. Jude's for her treatment out of
Mm,
state. So I didn't have any time off, paid or unpaid, approved, and they weren't going to fire me. And I wanted to be rehirable, so I quit. And because
mm.
I quit, I didn't get any unemployment. I didn't get any COVID assistance. I got nothing. So when I got home, I had to find creative ways to make money.
Sure.
So that's why it was kind of like an up and down downer. So just to summarize.
Woo. So what's your coping mechanism? Is the music your go-to coping? Because that's a lot of stressful things that you mentioned in a short amount of time there.
It is now. I had actually taken like a 10-year break off of music. I had thought that I retired. I retired at like 22 years old.
Yeah, good luck
I
with that.
stopped. Well, I had this like naive idea that as a mother, you're not supposed to be out at the bar singing when you have kids at home.
Right,
And so like I kind of judged myself a little bit. So I quit when I wanted to have kids. I wanted to like be that perfect mom.
right. Wow. And so you had done a show with my comrade, Katarina, which I really loved how you put it, the scam of motherhood.
Hmm.
I love that.
Oh,
You
it
come
so
up
is.
you come up with that?
I did. Yeah.
That's your own thing?
Uh-huh. I even posted something on my TikTok about it when Chapel Roan went off about how none of her friends are happy, and she was like complaining about young parents.
Uh-huh.
And I posted a little thing about it. I mean, I'm not a big fan of Chapel Roan personally, but she's not wrong. They're never happy because they don't know what they're expecting.
Right.
We're painting this beautiful picture of what motherhood is, and we're not showing the rest of it.
Right.
So,
Well, motherhood, okay, okay, so I've got an announcement to make. I don't know if I was gonna make it or not. I just decided I'd hold on to wraps. I don't know, but I'm gonna say it now. You ready? You sitting down?
hmm.
I
Oh,
just
I'll sit down.
you sit okay, yeah, sit down because
Sitting.
yeah, okay. So I just became a grandfather 2 days ago.
Oh, congratulations.
Well, it's weird, but yeah,
I
my
bet it
my
is.
daughter just had her first child, which makes me first time grandfather. So I bring all that up to say the point that I'm trying to make is I don't know when it happened when heard that it happened. I thought, well, this is going to change my life.
Hmm.
It didn't change my life. I had all these thoughts about what becoming old enough to be a grandpa would mean when that day happened. Now that
Hmm.
that day has come, it didn't change my life at all. So I'm making the analogy, the comparison to that being of motherhood. We do have these things like my mother one day at one Christmas get together. She said, "Oh, I've written some poetry," and all of us kids at the table kind of looked at her like, "You can't write poetry. You're mom."
Hmm.
Right? But why wouldn't mom be able to write poetry? Why wouldn't mom be able to do anything that other moms or dads can do if you want to do it? Right? But we do. You're absolutely right. That's why I like that title, Scam of Motherhood, because it is a scam. We believe that our women in our society just can't do anything but bear some children and raise some children. Would you please?
Hmm.
You agree?
Well,
Right, right.
there's also the generational change too, because, and I don't know if anyone else can relate, but I certainly can with my parents and their generation. But I had a lot of, you act like you're the only person who's had two kids. You act like it's so hard. We've been through this, that whole situation. And it's like it's a different time now. My
Yes,
and sorry to put my dad on the spot, but he said that to me
yes, yes.
when I asked for him to just come over and keep me company while I did some laundry. I wasn't asking him to babysit or like let me take a nap. I just wanted some adult conversation,
Yes.
and I was stressed out. And he said that you act like you're the first person to have two kids under 5 years old. Like, get over it. But I remember my father dropping me off at his mother's house 5 days a week so he could go to work.
Well, right,
So so it's like, well,
right.
what happened to that? I don't have grandparents. I don't have that support system. I don't have a village like my parents had.
Well, and you got to remember too. I mean, even if you don't remember, you got to at least recognize that the world is so different now. Like
Right.
we used to have three television channels.
Hmm.
And aside from those three television channels, if there wasn't something that you could watch, then you go outside and you play and you stay outside, play until the sun goes down, and then you come in and you eat dinner and you go to bed. Now you're literally bombarded with information. Like
Right.
every single step you make, every single breath you take, every move you make, blah, blah, blah.
It's all comparable.
It's all information. And these poor kids, I don't know how they do it, but we are in a different world. And yeah, if you only had to, figure out what was going to be for dinner and just kind of keep your eye on the kids all day, circa 1807, yeah, I get it. But now in 2026, there's a whole lot more you got to be worried and concerned about than you used to ever have to be. So, how to be a single mom or even a married mom or even any kind of mom or dad in this society, it's
Yeah.
definitely a magic trick. So, how do you have time then to do your music? Do you set aside a certain time of day where you go, okay, because you're really good at music. I mean, you know this. I know
Thanks.
this because I've hired you to do music. So I know you're good. I know how good you are compared to people that I see do music and I hear. So I know you're good. Michael, I'm really curious. How do you find time?
Honestly, I make time, and I know that sounds like a cliche, and like young moms listening are going to be like, "Oh yeah, easy for you to say," but it's true. It
That's
was a
exactly
long,
what they sound like too,
yeah,
Kaitlyn. That's crazy.
exactly, that
Spot
lower
on
octave and
imitation.
everything.
Spot on.
It took a long time to make time. I had to start small because it was really hard. It was really hard to like have my 2 year old crying when I left the house and like
Yeah.
things like that. I didn't want to do. But I forced it. What I did was I literally kind of just had this epiphany. I had a breakdown, full transparency. I was on the ground in tears, had a breakdown.
Mm.
I didn't know what was up. I was ready to pack it all up and go to Cabo. Okay. And
Why Cabo? Wait, were
I,
you really going to Cabo?
as in like run away from my life. I was ready
Okay.
to go. I was just ready to start a new life somewhere else, new name, be done with it all.
Right.
And I broke down, and that's when I decided, okay, well, I can't do that. So I called a therapist and I got all that stuff. And I managed to get diagnosed with ADHD, which was 29 years late, but thank God,
Right.
because I was able to get properly treated for that. Um, and I told myself, you know what? I'm just going to start saying yes. I'm not going to make the excuse, well, what if I can't get a babysitter? Well, what if I
Mm.
can't find the time to walk away? What if my kid gets in trouble at school and I have to cancel? What if? And I
Right.
said, no, screw all that. I'm just going to say yes, and I'm going to figure it out. And that's how I started. I don't know. I'm sure Kevon Tyree. He's been in one of your shows before.
Who?
Um,
What? Yeah,
you know Kevon.
I know him. Yeah.
He was
Okay.
actually the first person to
Okay.
book me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was like looking for someone in the musicians group that he needed like a duo for some club gig,
Uh huh.
and he found my TikTok, he found my harmonizing page or something, but I had no experience. But he offered it to me anyway because my harmonies were so impressive. And I
Wow.
said yes, even though I didn't know if I was going to have that day available. I didn't know if my husband was going to work. I didn't know if I would have anything. And I said yes anyway. And I didn't even have a guitar player. And so then I did some networking, asked some people. I met my friend Max, and he was my guitar person. And we had that first gig in March of 2 years ago.
Oh, wow.
So
Sorry
ever
about that.
since then,
Yeah.
everything that I get, if I'm not already blocked off for another gig, I just say yes.
And I want to say just a real quick shout out to those who book us on our first gigs. You are better than our first English teachers. Like in
Absolutely.
the amount of motivation and influence you're
Hmm.
going to have on our careers for the rest of our life. Do you know Gary Anthony?
I don't think so.
Okay, well, he's a big star. No, I'm kidding.
Oh,
Gary
sorry, Gary.
Anthony. Oops, sorry, man. No, Gary Anthony is the gentleman who booked me on my very first gig in Las Vegas. My first paying gig, as a matter of fact, in Las Vegas. And Gary is a agent now. but at the time he wasn't. At the time he was doing his Frank Sinatra look-alike show, or tribute show, you want to call it. And he
Okay.
was doing that thing, and he called me one day and said, "Hey, you know what? How'd you like to play over at the Red Rock Casino?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'd like to, but I don't think they will let me in." And he goes, "No, no, no, you're gonna play. You're playing with me." And so come on through. And so I did a gig, and that was the first paying gig that I got in
Hmm.
Vegas, and then after that, things kind of moved forward. Now, I'm just curious, and I've been curious about this for a while, but I didn't know how to broach the conversation. So you got married. So how did that work? Like, how do you get married in the middle of this music career, or did you get married and then you started the music career? Is this something that you got to sit down and talk to the prospective spouse about and say, "Hey, just so you know, I'm going to keep having my career"? You know what I'm saying? Like, how does that part work with the marriage? Because Katarina's married too, and I talked to her about it in detail. But I was curious with married folks, like, how do you guys work that in?
Well, my husband and I are kind of the exception and not the rule because I met him when I was only 17.
Oh
So
wow,
I wasn't even 21 to have a real music career yet in this town.
okay, okay.
It was a little bit of both. I did naively too. I remember like our second or third date, I sat him down. I was like, listen, if this goes anywhere, just know that if I go anywhere, I'm going.
Wow,
Like, love you mean it, but I'm going to go to Tennessee if I get to go to Nashville. That's going to happen and nothing's going to stop me. Like, that was the kind of conversation I had with him.
yeah,
And we actually got married right after I turned 21. We had a 5-year engagement.
okay.
And
Wait a minute, you had a 5-year engagement, so you were dating a boy when you were 17?
yeah. And I was engaged to him only like 9 months later. And I moved in with him on my 18th birthday before I even
Mm-mm.
graduated high school.
I told you I'm a grandpa.
And
Age doesn't agree with that.
like I said, it's we're the exception, not the rule.
Mm-mm,
This is not something. I mean, and as much as I love my husband, we're 16 years together now. So
mm-mm,
we just had our anniversary on Monday, our wedding
mm-mm.
anniversary, 12-year
Grandpa Ace
anniversary.
don't like it. I still don't like it. You can just I don't like
No,
it.
you don't. No, that's okay. You don't have to like it. And frankly, as a message to anyone listening, I wouldn't recommend it either.
Mm, mm-mm,
As much as my husband is, my world, and I love him, a lot of that had to do with things that shouldn't have been
mm-mm,
cause. I was kind of rushing out of my mother's home. It was a better environment than where I was. It was also, again, like we discussed, kind of a control thing. I was trying to hurry to grow up, right?
mm-mm.
So, it's something that I don't necessarily recommend.
That's all I'm gonna say for the
Um,
rest of the day. Mm-mm,
yeah, it worked out for us, but I don't recommend it. But yeah, we did. We had a long engagement, and we lived together for many years before we got married, at least to be sure of that.
mm-mm,
But when I started singing again, it wasn't until I was 22 or so, I think, or singing professionally, I should say, paid gigs. Before that, it was college. I went to UNLV, and I did like the choir major thing. So that didn't really count. But once I turned 21 and had paid gigs, he was very supportive. He went to all my shows, and he was like my cheerleader. Now, not so much because he has to be home with the kids. But
right. That definitely will put a damper on the cheering. No, I've met him. He's a wonderful guy. I met him. As an old grown man, though, I'm going to say that all of that stuff you told me was attributed to you was fast. That's what us
yes,
old people call it.
correct.
You was
Yes, I
fast.
was rushing to grow up. And that's a
Yeah.
part of that scale of motherhood I was telling you about. I think that
Mm,
that's also fast. I think a lot of women get the baby bug way too young
mm.
because they're seeing everyone else and their beautiful babies on social media, and they don't show the actual trials of it, and then they wind up, stuck.
So let me tell you a story. So when my daughter was born, one of the things that was so weird was, okay, she was born in a hospital. So for the first few days, we were in the hospital. I don't know if it was a few days. Now looking back on it, it seems like it was a few days. It might have only been a day, but anyway, it was a long time it
It
took
all
place.
blurs together at this
Yeah.
point.
We were in the hospital, and then they allowed us to take her home. And I remember it got real for me, like in the middle of the night one night when she was
Mm-hmm.
crying. And I was like, somebody needs to take care of Oh, that's what
Mm-hmm.
this is.
Mm-hmm.
When did it get real for you? Like, you got married.
That's
When,
that's funny. Steve had the same. Yeah, my husband had the same realization days later in the middle of the night. Yeah, it was the same for him.
Right.
But for mothers, I think it's real for us before we even really give birth. I mean, for me, I think the real moment was hearing her cry when she came out, and
Mm,
she cried. That was the moment that I was done. I didn't sleep the whole night that we were in the
mm.
hospital because I was just staring at her. I was just too
Wow.
afraid to go to sleep.
Well,
Um, and that's part of like postpartum and all those things that I personally don't think is studied enough. Um, so yeah, mine, and not to mention I was also experienced. I had a 3-year-old who just beat cancer. So I had my own reasons for my
yeah.
irrational fears. And
Right.
it was actually really kind of a mind trip for me because her first day in the hospital, when she was a day old, I noticed some very small, like reflux type things with her. Like I saw milk coming out of her nose when I breastfed and stuff like that.
Hmm.
And the doctors brushed it off and they called it reflux at a day old, or diagnosing her with acid reflux at 1 day old, but I digress. Um, and so it was kind of brushed off all this time. And I learned, 8 months later that she had a brain tumor wrapped around her brainstem, which is the swallowing function of the brain.
Mm.
So I kind of had this like really weird mental issue where I almost felt like I was causing these things. Like I was like practicing witchcraft and I didn't even know it
Right.
because all these fears that I had were coming true,
Right.
and almost like I was manifesting. And so that was a big part of my over parenting, over protectiveness, I guess.
Well, and you had to
Um,
learn all this medical stuff that, you might not have ever had to learn it had you not had these challenges. But now, I mean, you got to know a lot of stuff, which is good that you learned it because now you can be a proper parent. But there's a
yeah.
lot of us that we don't learn more than we feel we need to. We do, but that when you see people, they
Hmm.
literally sit their kids in front of the tablet and be like, "Hey, entertain yourself until your dad gets home." I don't tell you.
Yep. I've done it myself. I've done it when I needed the break.
Mm-hmm.
I've regretted it because trust me, it will show up in your children later.
Yeah, I agree with that. There's stuff I got like I said, I got a 15-year-old, and there's stuff that he'll come to me with something, and I'll go, you know what? Somebody should have taught you. Oh, right.
That
That's
was me.
yeah.
Damn.
See,
Yeah.
gotcha. Interesting. So your kids, I met your kids too. So I've hung out with
Hmm.
your kids a little baby bit, very very briefly, but they're beautiful kids and they're wonderful, which is a compliment to you as a mom. Do you want your kids to get in show business?
I want them to do whatever they want to do.
Really though,
I mean,
really,
aside from the poll, yes.
they want to be president. You cool with that? Right.
Um, kind of. I mean, it's it's hard because I'm trying to avoid fear, and
Right.
I was also raised to believe that I couldn't do things, and that's a big reason why I retired young and thought that motherhood was the answer at 21 years old, and I fostered kids because I couldn't have a baby yet.
Yes.
That was, we kind of we believe, and I just say this generally, but for women, a lot of us believe that we're not going to be fulfilled until we have children. That is our, genetically speaking, that's what we're made to do. So
Mm.
nothing ever feels like enough. And I was told that I wasn't enough. I was told I wasn't good enough. I was told I didn't have what it took, what was in me. And I'm not talking about managers or people in business. I'm talking my own parents.
Oh, yeah, of course, of course.
So for me it's like, yeah, I don't want you to be in danger, but I also don't ever want to instill in them that they think they can't do something.
I want to ask you this question, and this comes from like a deep place. Think about this before you answer. So, how much of you creatively has to answer to your femininity, your womanhood. Like, do you write a song? Because the reason I'm asking is I'll never know. Like, I'm a black man, but I do not sit down and write a song and go, okay, black people want me to say this, or black people would like to see me say this. But I do know that when I perform, there are things I try to stay away from, like because I don't want people to think that I'm trying to say this is what the brothers think. I don't
Right.
represent the brothers. I represent me, right?
Hmm.
How much of what you do is you artistically versus you as a woman to make sure that you make the right statement and say the right or wrong things based on what you think other women might want to hear. How you dress, how you perform. You know what I'm saying?
Um, if we're talking creatively, not professionally, not logistically,
Hmm.
none of it.
Really?
Most of my songs just come from what I'm feeling, and they're often written down like that same night, maybe within 30 minutes. It just kind of spills out. Now, I do have some things that are like messaging, like things that I want young women to hear because I think it's important for the world, things I wish I had known, kind of like sharing the wealth a little bit, but not so much for like approval or to make sure that they I'm not writing it to make sure that they relate as much as I'm writing it and hoping that the person it relates to lands, if that makes sense.
No, well, to me that does make a lot of sense. I just last night, you know how it goes. I had an idea for a song for many years. It's been in my head, and I couldn't really manifest it how I wanted it to be. I've been playing around with AI
Mm-hmm.
production modules to just come up with demos of
Yeah.
songs.
Suno's fun.
I love, yeah, absolutely. So this particular song, I was writing it, and I was thinking as I was writing, I was thinking, is this a guy talking to a girl about this situation, or is this a girl talking to a guy? And I made the pointed effort to make sure that it could be interpreted from either perspective, was what I wanted. But
Right.
there are some
Which is
songs
smart.
that I don't know if I'm smart or not, but that's what I had to work with. But I have written some songs where specifically write and I say it's important to me that girls know guys at least think about this. That guys
Hmm.
aren't so impervious that we don't think about your feelings. We do. We may not really, put it first and foremost, but we do. We did think about it. We didn't want to hurt you. We just,
Hmm.
what we wanted came first, right? So,
Yeah.
which is what it should be. Wouldn't you agree? I think so. Happy husband, happy life, right? But so wait, listen, if you don't agree, we can beg to disagree on that one. But so you're saying when you sit down to do your creative thing, you're just doing your creative thing. You're not concerned about whether it's for girls, whether it's for guys. But then you made a point about your professional life, though. So
Hmm.
what's the difference there?
Well, that's what I meant when you were telling me that you wanted it to be from both perspectives, and I said it was smart. That's what I meant. Professionally speaking, if you were to take that to a songwriter's meeting,
Yeah.
for someone to pick up and pay for, they're gonna like that. I actually learned that when I was, God, like 19, I think. I
Hmm.
just met some guy that writes music and needed vocals to record his songs. Rex Colwell was his name. One of the first guys that ever believed in me. Found him on Craigslist,
Oh,
and he wasn't a
nice.
creep.
Which is hard to
And
do. Which is
it
hard to
really is
do.
true.
It's
It's
hard
true.
to
No,
do.
he's a really sweet guy. He had gone to a couple of my gigs and stuff too. But he's a songwriter, and he actually took me. It was like a free deal. He wanted my vocals laid down for free, but in return, he was going to let me come with while he presented the song to a Nashville Songwriters Association meeting.
Oh, nice.
So I went, and I don't know if he's a manager or what you would call him exactly, but I was able to sit and listen to everyone's demos, not just my own, and hear his critique and his feedback for each of them. And the ones that are winners, what they look for first is songs that are not first person,
Yeah.
that are easily attachable to as many parties as possible, that's relatable, that people are going to all, it's not going to be just like dad songs are wonderful and they stick with you for life. But if you're not a dad, you're not going to relate to it.
Right.
So that might be purchased second, unless it's someone like Tim McGraw that picks it up, then it matters. But
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, otherwise, it has to be kind of neutral so it can be emotional. It's the weirdest thing, but it's true. I
No,
actually wrote a song. Oh, sorry, I was going to say I actually wrote a song where I used metaphors and took out gender completely.
I agree with that 300%. I used to love Prince, and I still do love Prince.
Hmm.
But one of the things that turned me off, I know this is crazy because everybody loves Prince, but one of the things that turned me off was after listening to album after album, it seemed like most of his songs were written in his perspective. And I think he's cool as hell. I thought he was cool as hell, but I don't have the same experiences as he does. And so
Hmm.
it became real hard for me to relate as a fan.
I was never a Prince fan. I didn't dislike him. I just didn't
Yeah.
relate, like you say.
Yeah, it's hard. It's harder to get into. Whereas with another artist, if they're writing about stuff that's from a third person perspective, you can kind of relate to it a bit. That's I don't know. That's my 2 cents. I'd
Hmm.
love to hear what other
Yeah,
people think about that.
yeah.
So where are you doing your thing next? What's going on with you next? What can we get behind?
Oh, well, um, first of all, I guess the very first thing happening is my birthday.
What?
Um, May 20th is my birthday.
Really?
Um, yeah, I guess Mother's Day is before that. That counts too.
So you're
But
a Taurus?
I am. I'm a cusper, as they would say, but I
Yeah.
am.
My
Hmm.
both my
I can
children
actually tell you a lot of my chart. I
both
dabble
of
in
my
some of that.
children are Tauruses. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. What do you plan to do
Capricorn
for your
moon.
birthday?
Oh, I'm not. It's a Wednesday. I'm going to play probably my phone in bed by 10 p.m. or something
That's a
because
good. That's a good
my
birthday.
sleep has been upside down.
That's a good
But
birthday.
for stuff you can get behind, though, I am going to be at the Pioneer Saloon that Friday on May 22nd.
That sounds like a bunch of white folks. The Pioneer
Yeah.
Saloon?
You've never heard of the Pioneer Saloon?
No. Why would I have
They're
the
famous.
Pioneer Saloon?
Oh man. So shout out to Good Springs. What up?
Mm-mm. No,
They
sir.
are it's essentially a ghost town. It's like the longest standing restaurant, historically speaking, in our area. It's about an hour out of town. They've been on ghost shows and stuff.
Yeah,
Um, but
exactly.
but you got to go for the sandwiches. I'm telling you,
Really?
incredible. Like brisket sandwiches.
Okay,
That's
you
all they
had me
do.
at
They smoke all
brisket.
day.
You got me at
Um,
brisket for sure.
yeah, so it's cute. It's an outdoor event. I'm just doing my duo thing with Chris Silvas. We're doing like we do a variation of top 40 music. So some newer, some older. Like Dance with Somebody, and then something as new as like Pink Pony Club.
That just
So
sounds like a place though. Like if you get bit by a rattlesnake when you go to the ER, they're gonna be like, "Well, where were you at?" And you get a
well,
Pioneer Saloon. They're gonna just drop everything. They're gonna
hmm
stop. They're gonna go, "Okay, dude, look,
bring your boots. All right, bring your
yeah,
boots. You'll be fine.
what were you thinking?" You know.
It's also a really cool drive if you want to drive the ghost town. And it's cool. I remember taking pictures there many years ago for a band I was in. They've got
Now,
some good Western looking atmosphere. It's
now,
beautiful.
I don't want to be that guy, but I am that guy, and it's my show, so I kind of get to be that guy.
Hmm.
So you're not afraid of ghosts? All these
I'm afraid of
fears.
no ghosts.
All
No,
these
I'm not.
fears, and you're not afraid of a freaking ghost when you're going to a literally it's in the name of the place you're going. It's called a ghost town. And
I'm
you're not
only.
concerned.
I don't think you'd be aware of anything evil unless you're evil. I'm not seeking out nothing. I don't want nothing. Like I do. And I also, do we forget, I make jewelry. I work with crystals. I have my protection. I'm right.
But it's called a ghost town. Okay,
Yeah.
well, hey. To each his
N-
own. To
I don't
each his
believe that
own.
energy is adamantly bad. If it's something else, it's something else.
I
I
love
don't
it.
want that.
I
I
love it.
think I think the people that look for that stuff and they're stupid and they bring out ways to connect with them, they're the ones to worry. But
Yeah. Well, hey, I am not mad at your fearlessness. There you have it. Hey, you guys listening today, you didn't know this was going to be edutainment on the show today.
I
Uh,
think you also forget that COVID was like all for witchy shit. It was kind of a theme. Crystal shows were all over Instagram again.
yes. And so, if we want to pleasantly stalk you, where do we find you on the social media now?
Just the easiest way is my website. I've got www.kaitlyntaylorSings.com, and all of my social media is there rather than you having to search every engine. I would rather that. Plus, my schedule is updated. I have many more. We just got lost on Ghost for a second, but I have a local gig on that Saturday, the 23rd, and others coming up. So
Nice. And I'll tell you what, Kaylin Taylor is an amazing music artist. She's a great singer, and she plays the heck out of that tambourine while she's singing too. And she's nominated for a Max and Jazz Music Award. Are you going to perform at the ceremony and
Oh yeah.
six match? Okay, so
Oh yeah.
see her there. She's going to perform at the Max and Jazz Awards. I hope you win an award. I really do. You deserve an award. And that, my friends, is all we have today. It's been the Ace Michael Show. Make sure you follow Kaitlyn Taylor. And you know what I say at the end of every show, guys? Live the life you love and love the life you live. Thank you. Hang on, I want to make sure it stops recording.
Hmm.